The topic that you guys asked me to talk about is wrap. Okay, so there's somebody in here that doesn't know what a wrap is. Who's that person? Here's what a wrap is. Nobody taught me this. Took me like years to learn this. So somebody like Ingrid, who didn't know what a wrap was 2 years ago, learned it faster than I did. Everybody in here will learn it way faster than I did. Here's what a wrap is. Who has a car in here? Who has a car payment?
My husband has a car payment.
Okay, what's his car payment? Okay, somebody knows the answer off the top of their head. Okay, $459. Okay, and what is it?
It's a Beamer.
Okay, so you got a BMW, and it has a $459 payment. Okay, so Eric, who's the owner of this BMW?
Your husband?
The lane company.
The financial.
Interesting. We got two conflicting ideas here.
Her husband's the owner.
How do we know?
Because he has a title.
He has a receipt.
Does he have the title?
No.
He has a car.
Oh, this is so fun.
Well, what's the definition
Okay, so
of owner?
in normal world, the owner is who holds the title, or in real estate, it's not called a title. You guys think it's called a title. It's not called a title. It's called a deed. Okay, a deed, write this down. A deed is who owns the property. A deed is who owns the property. A deed is who owns the property. So when I say, hey, give me the deed, I'm saying transfer the ownership. But when you say, give me the title, that doesn't mean ownership necessarily. It means we might be in a partnership, okay? So title is how I own that property. Your husband owns the BMW, but how does he own it? Probably parks it in the garage. Title is how you own it. Okay, so tenants in common, joint tenancy, right? These types of things, that's title. Ownership is the deed. So I just taught you something that takes most people their whole life in real estate to never even understand that there is a difference between title and deed. In the car world, okay, the title actually has your name on it, but you don't hold it. The car company is holding it as security. They have the tangible, but the title is a physical document. They are holding it for security. Once your husband pays that payment all the way down to zero, then they release it to him, even though his name is currently on title. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So who's the owner of the vehicle?
The owner of the title company.
There is no such thing as a title company.
Oh, hell. My husband owns the car.
Your husband owns the car. His name is currently on the title with the car company.
Mhm.
They're just holding it. Okay, this is called an executory contract. I'll get into executory contracts here in a little bit. They're called land contracts, agreements for sale, contract for deed, bond for deed, installment sale. Depends on the state that you're in. Arizona, what do we call it?
Agreement for sale.
Agreement for sale. Texas, can't do them. They're illegal. Texas is the only state you can't do executory contracts. Okay, so let's say that your husband has a car. Okay, $459. He's the owner. Okay, so he can sell it. Can he refinance it?
Mhm.
Can he paint the car if he wants to?
Mhm.
Cool, he can do whatever he wants with it. Cool. So what if I went to your husband and I said, hey, can I take over your payments from you? And he's like, no, I need this car. I go, okay, well, what if I took over your payments? That would be called what? Subject to, right? So I could just take over his car payment subject to. But what if he says, well, no, I don't want that. And I go, what if I pay you $200 above what your payment is? Would you then let me take over payments? And he goes, you're telling me you paid $459 in my bank and you paid $200 to me? I go, yeah. He goes, okay, I'll do that. This is called a what? So this part right here, no, it's not called a wrap yet. This part right here is sub 2 because I'm taking over existing debt, right?
Okay.
This part right here is called seller finance.
Hybrid.
Okay, this is called a hybrid. Okay, part sub 2, part seller finance. Does that make sense? We all understand that.
Yep.
This can have its own terms separate from this. Okay, so for example, your terms here with your husband are let's just say he has 60 at let's say 6%. Okay, and then your husband says, well, yeah, I'll let you make $200 payments to me. That could be 0% interest, right? You see how these have two separate terms? This is where I'm the one that invented the word hybrid about 4 years ago. Nobody was using the word hybrid until this point. Most dumbass investors were acquiring this on a wrap. What's the difference? A wrap is where your husband comes and he goes, how about I wrap the $459 and the $200 payment together and you pay me $659 at 6% interest. He has wrapped those two payments together. Is literal. Nobody taught me that. Nobody taught me that the word wrap was literal. It means I have two separate payments, or it's two separate notes, or more, sometimes you have three or four, and you wrap them together and you create a new agreement that's separate. It's completely, I shouldn't say that, I'm sorry, I just screwed somebody up, their brain up. It's the same debt, it's just that we've rolled it all together, and we're charging 6% for the total amount, instead of 6% here and 0% here. Okay, go ahead.
So then technically on the 659, it's 6%. You're not paying $200 of principal, right?
That is correct. So we never want to buy on a wrap, we want to sell on a wrap. Does that make sense? Because if I acquire, this is so funny. You got guys that have been teaching creative finance for 30, 40 years, some of the biggest names you guys have seen. You guys have been everywhere. Nobody ever talked about doing this. And I'm like, why are you guys acquiring wraps? Separate the notes and acquire on a hybrid. And I was in this mastermind about 6 years ago with these big guys, and I go, I just acquire in hybrids. And they're like, what's a hybrid? I'm like, well, I separate the notes. Okay, so this is a note and this is a note. Now, what is a note? Okay, this is a thing for people that, you keep hearing this word note, and you're like, I don't know what a note is. Do you know what a note is, Eric?
Promise to pay.
Promise to pay, right? So let's say that Ingrid and I do a deal together. Let's say this is her bottle of water. I go, I want to buy it, but I don't have any money. And she goes, okay, well, no problem. Let's just get a little sticky note, a note. Literally, a note is literal. Again, let's get a little sticky note that says, I owe Ingrid $4, and I have to pay her on this day, or else she comes back and takes the thing back. That little agreement between two parties is called a note. Okay, the note is the structure of the payment term. So people say I have a mortgage note, or I have a car note, or I have a whatever, right? Or when you lend money, like Marta has loaned money to me, and where's Angela? Is she in here? There she is. Both of these ladies have a note with me. That's what a wrap is, okay, in car terms. So I could go on Craigslist right now, and I could go find somebody that has payments, or even buy on seller finance. It doesn't matter if they have payments or not. Or does it? Well, it does. Here's why. Because now it's no longer called a wrap, is it? Because there's nothing to wrap together. A wrap requires two notes or more, always. Otherwise, how in the F are you wrapping anything?